What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories. Apologies for lack of arms. I'm just really tired and it's like 7 in the morning. I've not gotten great rest, but I gotta get some stuff done for the day because my day is gonna be very busy today. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with some RPG horror stories for today. It was great having Mary for the last couple of videos. I hope you guys enjoyed having Mary back. I've missed Mary as well. Anyway, let's get some RPG horror stories done for today. Updates on my difficult DM/Maphra situation. This story is an update that Mary and I covered about the character Maphra that tried to basically interject into this campaign, into this game as a DM that flirted after a particular character named Kiwi, and then when OP and Kiwi end up inadvertently kissing at a party sometime and decided to stay platonic about it, they basically made OP's life a living hell about it because they're trying to accuse OP of being basically some sort of like a sex criminal or something. Anyway, we got an update on that, which we don't get often, so I'm excited to see what has happened since. Hello everyone, I'm here with an update regards the post I made a few weeks ago about my online friend group and my problematic DM Maphra. Before anything else, I want to sincerely apologize for taking so long to update you all. That was completely my fault. I got overwhelmed with college projects and personal life stuff, and during my little free time I had, I should reply to more comments, but I end up forgetting. I'm really sorry. Anyway, on to what actually matters. What happened after that? During the same week I made the original post, me, Kiwi, Willow, and another group member I'll call Ira started talking about what we're going to do regarding Maphra possibly returning to the group. The four of us were the members who had the most problems with her. Unfortunately, I was the one who got the worst of it, but I definitely wasn't the only victim of her behavior. As I mentioned before, Kiwi was constantly bombarded with messages from Maphra about her feelings for her. Some of those messages made Kiwi uncomfortable, and after Maphra got removed from the server, she still wouldn't stop messaging her. It got to the point where she would call Kiwi during class hours just to apologize and beg to be let back into the group. Kiwi eventually got fed up with it and blocked Maphra on both the Discord and WhatsApp. Mary would be really happy to know this because Mary was the one that suggested that Kiwi should probably block Maphra. She predicted this, that she would be basically start being love bombed by Maphra continuously. As somebody who has had experience being in this kind of situation before, I think Mary was very wise. You know what? Not many people realize this, but Mary is really wise, like extremely wise. She is literally a literal IRL druid with that high wisdom score. And for anybody that wants to know, Mary's dump stat is indeed charisma. No, but for real, what Maphra is doing is definitely love bombing, and she is doing that as a manipulation tactic to try to weasel her way back into it. And good on Kiwi for blocking them, because honestly I think by blocking them, that is single-handedly already a deciding factor that you shouldn't let Maphra back in. But let's continue. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here a little bit. I also mentioned this in a comment before, but regarding Willow. While Maphra was still in the group, she would make extremely inappropriate jokes about the fact that Willow is a trans boy who is assumed to his parents, yet Willow has been uncomfortable with these jokes from the very beginning, but he avoided talking about it publicly in the server because he would privately ask Maphra to stop. Then she would always respond with things like, "Oh, come on, it was just a joke, sorry," or "That wasn't my intention." Like I said in the original post, Maphra had a very edgy sense of humor. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she intentionally made these comments to upset him. Like I said, Maphra is not edgy. Maphra is literally just an asshole. there's no edginess there. They're just an asshole. Edgy is a Call of Duty lobby where people tell you to go do horrible things to you because you're dominating in a match and stuff. Or edgy is 2013, high school 2013, and you listen to My Chemical Romance and you're wearing all black and using a hair straightener just because you want to try to give yourself that emo look, which I have done. I even had my own emo phase, guys. Can you believe it? Can you imagine it? I straightened my hair, and yes, it looked just as cringe as you imagine it to be. No, what Maphra is doing is literally just being an asshole for the sake of being an asshole. There's no edginess there. You're just an asshole. Things weren't much different with Ira either. Ira was constantly the person asking Maphra to tone down her weird behavior, and after a while, Maphra started acting like that was a reason to try excluding him from the group and the campaign, even though Ira is basically one of the founders of our friend group. Because of that, it became common to seeing her sideline, or at least trying to sideline Ira's character, though unsuccessfully since his character was one of the best in the campaign. Me, Kiwi, Ira, and Willow organized a call with the rest of the group, and after a long 1-hour conversation where everyone described the issue they had with her behavior, the final decision was made. Maphra is permanently out of the group. Yes. The member who were initially worried about Maphra eventually understood one side of things, and honestly expected some of them would. Like I said before, this is a group made of genuine close friendships. All of us understand that Maphra had her own personal struggles and issues, but at the end of the day, we value having a healthy and enjoyable environment in our group above all else. As for the campaign, Willa set up plans of creating a new D&D campaign, and he told us we are free to reuse our characters from Maphra's campaign if we want to. The players agreed, and now we're just waiting for vacation break so we can start organizing everything. I also want to sincerely thank everyone who commented on my original post. That day I wrote the story, my head was a complete mess, and I ended up putting myself in a position where I really wasn't valuing myself enough. I read a lot of respectful comments that genuinely helped me. I truly don't want anything bad to happen to Maphra, but it's undeniable that she was a walking red flag. I honestly hope she gets better and someday realizes how wrong and unhealthy her behavior was. Anyway, thank you all so much for attention and support you gave me. I'm not a very active Reddit user, but maybe someday when I have more free time, I'll come back and share other RPG stories that don't involve this group. They're much lighter stories, but I think that'd be pretty funny to tell here. I'm genuinely so happy you guys didn't let the problem player back in. This is a learning lesson. Do not let the problem player ever back in. If somebody's a problem, the best thing to do is to remove them. Like, problem players are gonna exist no matter what, 100%. But if you notice somebody being a problem, you gotta make sure you address it so it doesn't become a problem later. I recently had one situation where a interaction between two players kind of became a bit problematic that needed to be addressed, and it has been addressed, which is good, because at the end of the day, like, the people that I'm around and people that I play D&D with are really good people who just one of those one-off things. However, if somebody is a genuine problem and have repeat offenses like Maphra has, maybe it's because they're just not fit to be in this particular table and not this particular group, or at the end of the day, it's just not gonna be worth it for you guys trying to micromanage this player. Maphra just sounds like a very unpleasant individual to be around, and it's probably best just not have him be part of your group, not have him be part of your organization. Ultimately, I'm happy that you guys decided not to let the problem player in, the clear problem of the table. You didn't let them back in, and that is a good thing, and I'm very happy for you guys and hope you guys have a lot of fun time playing more games together. Nevertheless, let's get to an actual RPG horror story for today. I like these kind of updates and stuff, but I need my juicy drama. Not that I thrive off for drama, but I'm just so hooked to RPG horror stories, I can't stop, guys. Let's get to the next story for today. New DM made fun of me for playing a woman. Hello. This story happened a few years ago and was online, but I recently came back to my current memory and thought I'd share. I've been playing with this group of people over Discord for 4 years at this point. We're all open about our personal lives, incredibly tasteful when we joke, usually, and are just genuinely good friends. The old DM, who I'm gonna call Eric, not a real name, after the last session of his campaign, asked if anybody wanted to DM. Literally everyone said they'd rather be a player, but willing to be a DM if needed. May I reiterate, we all said we're willing to DM if needed. After hearing about this, Eric told us he had a friend who wanted to learn how to DM anyways, so I would be fine. So it would be fine. We cut to a whole week. We scheduled a night to play, and I was excited. I had just discovered that I was gender fluid at the time, and was excited to play my first female D&D character. Her name was Haldif Cassia. She was a neutral good hill dwarf circle of spores druid that was based on magical girl anime like Sailor Moon. I came up with a backstory, thought about her voice, unique lines she would say, and even made art, which isn't something I usually do for characters. By the way, I just want to say out there, no matter who you are or whatever you identify as, you can make whatever character you want. Like, do whatever you want. I don't know, man. I always found it so weird that some people have like such a stickler thing for it. Like, if you're a guy IRL or girl IRL, your character has to match your IRL gender or whatever the hell. Like, why does it matter? Who cares? Like, make whatever you want to make. I don't know, man. I come from Final Fantasy 14, where people can play as cat girls regardless of who they are IRL. Who cares? You can play as whatever you want. You could be a cat girl, cat boy, bunny girl, bunny boy. Do whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's your character. Honestly, I'm personally convinced that there is definitely a subset of people that like to play as something that it can be related to. Like, let's say, for example, you want to play, you just a big old buff dude, and you want to play as a big old buff dudes, and just that's your character. You just want to be Grognak with a barbarian. But also, I'm convinced that there's a girl out there, a small dainty woman called Maria, that wants to play as big Clobber of the orc barbarian barbarian as the biggest, the baddest orc that's ever been around with giant shoulders. I don't know why clobber in particular, but whatever. At the end of the day, play whatever you want to play. It doesn't matter. If you're a female that wants to make a male character, go for it. If you're a male that wants to make a female character, go for it. If you're whoever and you want to make an amorphous amoeba ooze, plasmoid or whatever, at the end of the day, it's just a character. So have fun making it, regardless of whatever you want to play. Hell, I have a little fish guy that I play. I'm not a fish IRL, but in D&D, I can make a fish guy if I want to. Who cares? Anyway, let's continue. I entered the call and met the new DM. For the sake of this post, we're going to call him Alex. Alex was fine. Nothing about him seemed inherently off at first. He talked about the homebrew world he created. It was genuinely interesting. He made a post-apocalypse style fantasy world with different factions that your character could be a part of. Think Fallout, but with magic. DM asked us to introduce our characters, and with me being ignorant and excited, I went first. I was getting to describing her backstory of her noble parents selling her to a hag in order to save their own hides, but the hag ended up loving her and training her in the ways of the fungus. Alex, after I was done described, asked me why use the word like her and she to describe Haldif. Note, he didn't ask in a genuine or curious way. He asked with a mildly aggressive tone. I can't mimic it through text, so just imagine how a Christian mom would point out how you're smoking. I, in confusion, just said the truth, that she was a girl. Alex then proceeded to ask why would I play a woman when I presented myself as a man in the same tone. I explained what being gender fluid was and how sometimes I wanted to act more like a woman than a man. He proceeded to laugh in my face and say, "Oh, you're playing a joke character." I explained to him that it wasn't a joke and he didn't understand. He said that it had to be a joke, otherwise I was a liberal gay tranny. Eric then proceeded to kick him from the server in less than 19 seconds. What the fuck? Okay, I was about to say, at first I was like, did Alex never seen a female character before? Does he not know what a woman is? But no, it's just Alex just being a jackass about it. Because to Alex particularly, if you are presenting as male or are male, then you can only play male characters. Because God forbid we have a little bit of fantasy in this fantasy RPG that we're playing. God forbid I want to make a female elf instead of me. That is really dumb. That is really stupid. I don't know, man. I come from Final Fantasy 14. My very first Final Fantasy 14 character that I've ever made was a cat girl because I was like, whoa, I never seen a cat girl in an MMO. I came from World of Warcraft, so for me it was a little bit strange and weird. So for me it was, I guess, a little bit strange and weird at first. But you know what? I was like, you know what? That's kind of cool. I'll make me a cat girl. And then I learned that they are really cute. They have really cute emotes and poses and stuff. And just in general fun to play as. So why not? Why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't I play as a cat girl? It's my fantasy. I can play as a cat girl if I want to. But no, Alex is just straight up a jerk. God forbid there's a female character in the campaign. God forbid somebody wants to play as a female character. God forbid somebody wants to play as something that not IRL. Who cares? I feel like Alex is the kind of guy that is just an asshole and stuff. It's really strange that Eric never knew that part about Alex and stuff. I feel like they would know something about that, like from Alex in particular. I can't imagine that Eric didn't know anything about Alex in that particular regard. Maybe they knew something about it, but they were like, hey man, you can't be like edgy like you are right now, okay? This group is not the kind of group. Don't be an edge, you know, don't be an edgelord, or don't be like a jackass in my group and stuff. Because I refuse to think that if Eric is inviting somebody like that into the campaign, I refuse to think that didn't know that Alex had like a weird like edgelord, like I guess, well, not even edgelord, it's more like a jackass personality to him, you know, because he's just being just an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, really. I understand this isn't the worst thing in the world to happen, but it really stuck with me and made me feel insecure about playing Haldif or any other woman at the table for a long time. I did eventually start playing a female half-orc storm herald barbarian named Gura in the following campaign, but that happened after my old character died in a boss fight, which helped me reignite my passion for female D&D characters. Now I must talk about the reason why this came back to my current memory. Well, that's because Haldif may come back. My group is starting to learn Pathfinder 2E, and I may try to convert Haldif into that system and play as her in the new campaign. Again, I know it's not the most spicy story or the most dramatic, but I wanted to vent it out somewhere. Hope you enjoyed reading the story and that you have a pleasant rest of the day. So what you're trying to tell me is that Alex has dragons that are literally the most destructive force in the world, aboleths that go from beyond the material realm and far planes, elementals that rise up and are little manifestations of the elements they are part of. But apparently somebody playing as a female character is just somehow just completely unbelievable in any capacity. Really? Like, seriously? What? We have elves and dwarves and tieflings and asimars and goblins and orcs, depends on the campaign you're playing, but to me, I'm perfectly cool with it. And even like plasmoids if you allow the extra 5e spelljammer content. But if somebody makes a female character when they themselves don't present themselves as female, apparently now it's a problem for Alex. I just refuse to think that somebody can be like small-minded like that. But you know what? We live in a modern day world and some people are genuinely are like that, and there's nothing you could do about it. I don't know, man. I feel like escapism is fun because it is escapism and you are allowed to make whatever fantasy character you want. I'm kind of surprised, however, that Eric didn't know or didn't mention to anybody about like, hey, so Alex is a little bit of like an internet edgelord or something, so he might be a little bit edgy. I'm kind of surprised that Eric didn't vet his buddy. I don't know, man. When I have somebody that's going to be joining my D&D server and my D&D games and stuff, I usually, you know them well enough to know what kind of humor they're going to have and if they're going to be like not a good fit for the table. Clearly, Eric didn't do that with Alex. While I understand the situation is mostly just Alex being just a jackass and stuff, I feel like some kind of lessons can be learned from Eric, for Eric here particularly, is to vet out your buddies just to make sure they're going to be a good fit for the table. Unless Alex was like one of those people that's like, oh, I get to be invited and I get to call the shots because I'm a DM. Who knows, honestly. Honestly, I don't really want to know much about Alex. Alex just sounds like a jackass overall. Anyway, I guess the lesson of the day is play whatever you want to play and vet your buddies to know if they're gonna be jackasses to the rest of the table. That might be two good lessons right there. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.